In today's brief video, I want to take a moment and discuss the potential for using nicotine as a nootropic product, something that might not only be enhancing when it comes to brain function, but also something that might be protective of brain function down the line.
Nicotine is gaining in popularity like crazy, mainly these pouches that people put in the lip. My interest in nicotine started in 2010. I was visiting Columbia Medical School and I was in the office of the great neurobiologist Richard Axel, won the Nobel Prize, brilliant guy, and he kept popping Nicorette in his mouth. And I was like, what's this about? And he said, oh, well, you know, it protects against Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. I said, it does? And he goes, yeah. I don't know if he was kidding or not. He's known for making jokes. And then he said that when he used to smoke, it really helped his focus and creativity, but then he quit smoking because he didn't want lung cancer, and he found that he couldn't focus as well, so he would choose Nicorette. So occasionally, like right now, I do a half a piece, but I'm not Russian, so I'm a little, did you just pop the whole thing in your mouth? Mm-hmm. So I'll do a couple milligrams every now and again, and it definitely sharpens the mind on an empty stomach in particular, but you fast all day.
1 meal a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a nicotine pouch with Rogan at dinner, and I got high.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like usually 6 or 8 milligrams. I know people that get a canister of Zyn, take one a day. Pretty soon they're taking a canister a day. So you have to be very careful. I will only allow myself 2 pieces of Nicorette total per week. And you will notice that the day after you use it, sometimes your throat will feel a little bit spasmy, like you might want to cough once or twice.
Now, I say and I create today's video as someone who deeply struggled with nicotine addiction for 9+ years of my life to chewing tobacco products, cigarettes, vape products, even nicotine gums at one point. So I'm coming at this from a stance of someone who was addicted and as someone who can appreciate the potential benefits that nicotine may hold.
That will require a prescription to buy nicotine products, which, by the way, has the byproduct of raising testosterone levels and making people a little harder to command. That's a massive threat! Why don't you press your ministers and prime minister, what are you doing about drug use? And the answer is nothing. Instead, they're hassling adults who want to use nicotine, which I would highly recommend to every person in this room as a life-enhancing, God-given chemical. That's just my view.
On that note, I might pass you over to Andrew Green from the ABC.
Oh, I love it! You're gonna take my nicotine? It's dangerous!
Good afternoon, Tucker.
A prescription for nicotine! Okay.
So first and foremost, I think it's important to realize that the idea behind nicotine as a nootropic would be in reference to essentially microdosing nicotine, okay? And we don't really have great studies on this, but from what I was able to gather when it comes to using nicotine, pharmaceutical grade nicotine, in the prevention of perhaps Alzheimer's or other neurodegenerative diseases, when it comes to just different threads on Reddit and other forums like Reddit and people who kind of are in this nootropic space, it seems like you're talking about 0.5 to 1 milligram of nicotine per hour max, or even less in many cases for people to have that nootropic effect, that nootropic impact, okay? And most people, myself included when I was consuming nicotine, are not consuming nicotine in that quantity. They are in far excess of that, right? So whether it be chain smoking cigarettes, going through a can of Zyn or 2 or 3 cans of Zyn a day, 3 milligrams, 6 milligrams. You have some snus products that are 50 to 100 milligrams per serving of nicotine. Whether it's chewing tobacco and certainly with vaping, nicotine salts, even Nicorette gum in 6 milligram counts or 2 milligram counts. All of these things exceed, from what I've gathered, would be the recommended dose of nicotine, the microdose of nicotine, to have a nootropic effect.
You're on board. You're going to love it.
Let's see if I feel Let's see if I feel the jazz.
You're in. I can already tell. I know.
You don't need to spit?
No. There's no tobacco.
I'll tell you. I love it. I love the feeling in my lip. I love the feeling in my lip. It feels so fucking good.
Feels good, right?
I haven't felt it yet, but I know the feeling of nicotine
coming,
when
dude.
it hits you.
It's coming.
When it hits, it's burning.
Yeah.
It's burning. And you just swallow?
Yeah.
You don't get sick?
No.
I kind of miss the spitting part.
I know, but you'll get used to it.
So how many of these do you do a day?
I don't know. I lost count.
You know, I could quit drinking for the rest of my fucking life if I have nicotine.
Oh, dude, I'm dialed in with this. I'm serious.
Really?
Yeah. I have one in the morning. I have one on the way to a workout.
I could do one in a workout. That would be great.
Yeah, they're great.
That would be so fucking awesome.
Yeah, you got to remember sometimes you're like, oh yeah, like if
Do you fall asleep with them?
I have.
I saw an interview where Joe was doing Zens.
Really?
And I was like, wait, Joe's doing Zens? Joe does a research.
Yeah, it's nicotine, dude.
Yeah.
It's,
Why don't you put one in?
it's in right now, bro.
Oh, you have one in?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Now, even more importantly, nicotine is really addicting. And vaping, smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, popping Zens all day long can get really addicting. So once people start consuming nicotine in the form of one of those various products, a cigarette, a dip, a Zen pouch, a vape, the addiction kind of takes a hold and moderation kind of goes out the window for most people. I'm not saying it's impossible to moderate. There are people who moderate, okay? Moderation is possible. But I know for me personally, when it came to chewing tobacco, vape products, cigarettes, I really wasn't interested in moderation. Could I do it? Probably. Would it be painful for me to try and moderate something that I would just want more and more and more of eventually? Yes, it would become a painful experience. And this is where we run into a problem, because once addiction takes a hold, our focus goes from whatever the task is at hand to being focused on the substance, being focused on the drug. So this is now the person that can't start their workday without having a cigarette or hitting their vape. This is the person that can't sit through their kid's sporting event, the kid's soccer game, without sneaking away to vape or without popping a few Zins in. And look, if you don't care about that, I'm not saying there's anything necessarily inherently wrong with that. Eventually your kid will pick up on it and you may care about the behaviors that you're teaching your children. You might not though. That might not be something for you. But like, that becomes the focus instead of helping us focus. And then here's the next problem. Your tolerance may eventually increase if addiction sets in. And now you need more and more of that drug to get the same desirable effects, okay? And now this is a problem because our tolerance has gone up to a point for many people where we're talking about levels of nicotine toxicity occurring, right? Where people are physically becoming sick. And I actually think there's a lot of people out there right now addicted to various types of vape products and nicotine products that are constantly nic sick or sick from using nicotine, and they don't even realize that. Like, they don't even realize how sick they are until they actually take a break. And now what happens? We're addicted to nicotine. The nicotine leaves your body. It starts to exit and you go into a state of withdrawal, mild withdrawal and mild detox. And this happens after about an hour in between uses. And now you start getting brain fog, you're super unfocused, and all you can think about is, when can I get my next hit? When am I gonna get my next Zin? When am I gonna get my next dose of nicotine? And now you've become psychologically dependent and arguably physically dependent upon nicotine and the alleviation of those withdrawal symptoms in order to focus on your next task. So you then consume more nicotine, you alleviate the nicotine withdrawal that's occurring, and you're like, okay, I'm so locked in now on my emails, I'm so locked in now on being able to edit my YouTube video, I'm so locked in. Well, you're not really locked in. You just alleviated the nicotine withdrawal and detox symptoms that you were getting because your tolerance is so high and you can't focus on anything until you address the withdrawal symptoms, which you have to do every 30 minutes, 15 minutes, every few hours. So that's the reality for most people when it comes to nicotine and focus. It's actually not helping them. And then I'll go a step further and then I'll talk about the positives. I'm going to share more positives with you guys on this, but I want to, unlike Dr. Andrew Huberman, I want to talk about the negatives first because I worry people hear the positives, ignore the negatives, and then miss the point in this video because you need both sides to really understand this. Furthermore, nicotine stimulates dopamine production, okay? Yes, in micro doses, it stimulates dopamine production. When not abused, it stimulates dopamine production. But nicotine is just like any other drug out there. When it's abused, consistently abused, your brain eventually enters a state of dopamine deficit. It starts to downregulate dopamine production and receptor sensitivity to dopamine. Nicotine causes this problem. When abused, it also will negatively impact cortisol levels. It can also increase instances of depression, instances of anxiety. When abused, and this is all statistically proven among people who vape, smoke cigarettes, higher rates of depression, higher rates of anxiety. It can also impact a person financially. So now there's anxiety over one's finances, anxiety over one's potential future physical health complications. And now your focus is getting spread out among all. Now you're focused on your concerns over the side effects of addiction. And our brain has downregulated dopamine, which is the thing that we need to repeat a task over and over and over again. Dopamine, yes, it makes us feel good, but more importantly, dopamine motivates us to repeat a task over and over again. And when we abuse nicotine, our brain enters a state of dopamine deficit. This is a major problem.
Have you ever heard something intelligent from a sock? Nicotine plus caffeine equals protein. Said it once and I thought, that's genius. I wish I thought of that. Not often someone says something smarter than I can say, but nicotine plus caffeine must equal protein because it's all I consume and I look like a unit.
Now, on a positive note, nicotine does stimulate adrenaline. Nicotine does prevent the breakdown of acetylcholine in the brain. Both things, stimulating adrenaline, a little stimulation of that fight or flight response, locks us in a little bit initially on our focus. The stimulation of, or preventing the breakdown of acetylcholine in the brain helps with memory. This is why nicotine is being studied for a lot of the Alzheimer's things and stuff like that. So there are those positives when it comes to focus. But my argument is, look, you can get those positives from getting a good night's sleep, eating a healthy diet, supplements. I make a chewing gum product. We sell it right here on YouTube Shopping. You can also find it in the pinned comment and video description that has KSM-66 ashwagandha. KSM-66 ashwagandha is very similar to nicotine and that it also prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine, has clinical trials when it comes to the prevention of neurodegenerative disease, okay? KSM-66 does specifically, not my product, but the main ingredient in it. KSM-66 ashwagandha also gently stimulates the adrenaline pathways. N-acetylcysteine gently stimulates the dopamine pathways, but NAC also helps to reduce cravings for things. That's why we put it in there. We literally put that in our product to help people not only quit smoking, but so people also wouldn't wind up getting addicted to our product, as well as making a product with KSM that kind of stimulates the same effects as nicotine. So you can find that in our Kick It Crave-less chewing gum. So there's supplements, and look, if you don't want my supplement, you can. I like Vitamin Shop brand. We do third-party testing on all of our ingredients, and then we do third-party testing on our chewing gum. But you can also find Vitamin Shop brand capsules, KSM-66 and NAC. They make really quality products too. Okay, if you prefer capsules or you can't chew gum, I much prefer gum. But alpha GPC, Hooper enzyme A, there's a lot of supplements out there that can mimic the positive impacts of nicotine without the harmful side effects. So that's another thing that I say. Now, at the end of all this rant, if you've watched my other videos in the past, I've historically bashed nicotine patches, okay? And that is largely in part due to my own personal negative experience with them. When I quit dipping tobacco and vaping and all the nicotine, I just figured I'm gonna get the strongest patch and I'll start there like the program, like the Nicorette program recommends. And the patch made me so sick. I felt terrible. It irritated the hell out of my skin. I did not like it at all, had a horrible experience. Truly think I was Nick sick from it. And you do have people who are hospitalized from nicotine patches and abusing them. You have people who use the patch and then continue to consume vape cigarettes and they become hospitalized due to neuro issues, neurological issues, and other stomach-related illnesses from overdoing it on nicotine. So there's major risk with it. But I'm backtracking on one thing. I've recently come around a lot more to harm reduction. And I also understand that there's people who don't want to get rid of nicotine in their life. So figuring out the least harmful ways of consuming that would make sense. And I've talked about this before on my channel when it comes to chewing tobacco versus smoking cigarettes, when it comes to Zins versus vaping. I have talked about this. But I do think, and I've seen this used before in neurology clinics, where how are they treating Alzheimer's with nicotine? How are they doing it? Well, here at Dent Neurology in New York, one of the big neurology institute, I've seen them use patches with people, pharmaceutical grade nicotine patches. And they're using low amounts, 7 milligrams. That would be like step 3 when you're looking at Nicorette. And that kind of makes sense because at 7 milligrams of a patch that you put on your skin, transdermal, it's going to deliver about 0.5 to 1 milligram per hour, if even that. So I would guess around there, you're probably getting that micro dose of nicotine that would be effective. I would also think the potential for addiction to a patch is less. I would think that's a much easier habit to break, unlike chewing a Nicorette gum, unlike the sprays, the lozenges. There's a bit more to a patch. And I very rarely have I interacted with people who are addicted to the patches. Not impossible. I definitely have come across people, but less likely. And I think if someone were to microdose nicotine, that probably makes the most sense from a standpoint of harm reduction, from a standpoint of preventing getting super addicted to it. I think that would make the most sense. Again, this isn't medical advice. This is just kind of what I've concluded based on my research for people who want to continue using nicotine. And like anything, look, take a break from it every now and then. I'm not saying to do that every day. Save it for days that you have a lot of work stress or where you need some extra boost or extra focus. And listen, nicotine is not 100% safe. People also need to understand that nicotine was originally a pesticide. Nicotine has side effects, okay? It reduces blood flow, particularly to your bones, so it can speed up the rate of degeneration. It can put you at greater risk of brittle bone disease, osteopenias, osteoporoses, okay? It has a negative impact on cardiac health. It has a negative impact when abused on central nervous system functioning and health. And as I said, it reduces blood flow. It also reduces blood flow to the brain. These are negative side effects that you won't get with our chewing gum supplement or other supplements like alpha GPC, Huperenzyme A. Of course, anything that works has side effects. So even those supplements can have some side effects, but you can Google those or ask me questions in the comments below and I'll answer them about that. So please, by no means am I saying this is safe, but for someone who's hell-bent on nicotine, that should quit smoking, quit vaping, quit dipping, because that's not helping your focus, it's not, that wants to continue the use of nicotine, I think a very low-dosed patch is probably your safest bet, and it's something you can talk to your doctor about or do more research on your own. I hope this video helps you out. I hope I was unbiased as possible in this video and gave you the full panel of stuff. Hey, if you need a plan and you're trying to quit, or you want a plan when it comes to this stuff, check out our one-on-one coaching consultations. You can find that in the pinned comment. Or if you're looking for an alternative to dip, vapes, check out the Kick It crave-less chewing gum. Not only will it help you quit, but it will give you some of the same positive benefits that you've been getting from nicotine potentially. And listen, we sell a 30-count bottle, a 90-count bottle, and a 3-pack. The 3-pack is a 3-month supply at 3 pieces of gum a day. 90 days is the gold standard for quitting substances. That's why we sell it in a 3-pack. The 90 count is a month supply, which it takes about a month to rebalance dopamine after you quit. That's the 90 count. The 30 count is only a 2-week supply. It's like a trial size of our product, and then if you like it, the idea is that you would buy more to get to that month or 90-day mark. So 3-pack, 90 count, 30 count. I recommend the 90 count or the 3-pack. Both the 90 count and the 3-pack come with a free necklace that acts as like a fake vape or fake cigarette. We created airflow restriction in the center of the tubing of the necklace, so it feels like you're taking a rip off of a cigarette or a vape, but it's really designed to help you guys slow down your exhales to promote deep breathing or better controlled or better regulated breathing techniques, okay? Good luck, find all that below. I hope this video helped you out. Ask questions, I'd love to make more videos on the topic.